Dr. Marshall is Professor of Education and Director of Language Education Programs at Long Island University, Hudson, New York. She teaches courses in linguistic and multicultural education in face-to-face, blended and synchronous online formats. Her research interests include culturally responsive teaching, as life, students with limited or interrupted formal education, non-traditional teaching of grammar and instructional technology, especially flipped learning. Contact her for training on mutually adaptive learning paradigm, MALP, and the synchronous online flipped approach, SOFLA. She's also on the board of the Flipped Learning Network.
So am I the last presentation of the day? Everyone stretch. Stretch, stretch, 2 minutes stretch. Wow, me too, right? My first presentation today was at 9:30. I've had 3 of them today. 2 yesterday and another one Saturday. But this one in particular is probably the most exciting one for me. And I'll tell you why. This presentation is really kind of a story. And it starts with TESOL. This started when I went to TESOL in Portland. Was anyone in TESOL Portland? And at that particular convention, there was a delegation sponsored by the Department of State. And for some reason, these folks, who were mostly from countries in the Mideast and Africa, North Africa, were interested in hearing more about flipped learning. And I was selected to do a presentation to them about that topic, since I'm affiliated with the Flipped Learning Network, as Claudio explained. And at that meeting, there was a gentleman from Morocco named Khalid Fethi. And he really loved flipped learning and wanted to make his entire school a flipped learning school. And so we met several times, and we both attended the Flipped Learning Network conference every year, which was called FlipCon at the time. And we decided to work together. In fact, he has a model which I'm going to share with you, a model of flipped learning, and we wrote a chapter of a book that's coming out about flipped learning in EFL settings you might be interested in. It should be coming out later this year, and we wrote one chapter in that book. And I have on there the 2 locations of the International Film Club, which is what I'm going to be presenting to you. So over here we have Winchester, Virginia, and over here we have Berkane, Morocco. And we have an international film club that links the 2, and I'll be talking to you about that project. And if anybody is interested, we just launched it in January, and we're open to growth if you live in a country that would like to participate. Okay, all right, so this is Khalid's school. He has a language school, and it was founded in the year 2000, so it's a fairly new school, OKE, and they teach English and French there. It's in northern Morocco, Berkane, and there are about now 4,000 students. It's grown quite quickly. And they group the students into 4 groups: junior class, 8 to 12, general English class, 13 to 20, and English for special purposes class, adults. I guess 3 groups. Okay. And the group that we worked with is the teenage group, because we were working with a high school in Virginia. So this is their, that's Khalid right there. You can see. Do we have the, should it work? Yes, there's Khalid right there. And these are some pictures of the students. And this is their web page, their front web page. And do you notice anything right away about the web page? Do you notice that under methodology, what does it say? Flipped learning. And over here, links to inspire flippers, read more. So he's definitely organizing his entire school around flip. So the benefits of what he does with his flip is flipping movies. And the title of the article that I worked on with him is Flipping Movies for Dynamic Engagement. So this is just a slide to review with you some of the benefits of using film for language instruction. And these are Khaled's ideas of what he believes are most important factors. So formal and informal language, you get wise quotes, informative shots or scenes that he picks out, and he gets a variety of accents, and cultural heritage of different communities. And you can see that all of this is from an EFL perspective, from his perspective. And also, he selects films that have a variety of themes for teenagers that might resonate with them. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, this is his model, Flipping Movies for Dynamic Engagement. So what he does is he does something very different, and I know we heard Crystal speak eloquently about the model, so I'm not going to go over, flipping, because you've heard a wonderful presentation about flip learning. But what's interesting that he does is the in-flip. So what he does is the movies, the films, are actually watched in class, not out of class. And you might say, well, that's a waste of time, but not according to Khaled. So what he likes to do is he likes to have them get together and have the experience of going to the movies. He even has popcorn, and he has a lot of fun, and he can pause the film at any point, and he can ask questions. He can also take out sections that he finds offensive, which is an issue in the country that he is from. All right, so that's one thing that he does. All right, then in class, also outside of class, then when they're getting ready for the movie, they do lower level Bloom activities. And we also heard about the Bloom's taxonomy and how important that is. So those are outside of class. And then he has a technique called SHAC, which is share, help, ask, and comment, and that fosters interaction in the classroom. And then his final piece is projects in the community, where they take the theme from the film that they viewed and they apply it to some real world problem or real world activity so that they can go out into the community. And he calls those creative workshop projects. Okay, I'm going to show you, if it works, just a minute of a presentation he gave at FlipCon. Now, it's supposed to play the film. So I had it set, now here again, I have it set, I'll just get this. I'm just going to play a short clip of it. Oh. So you can see that he's very careful about the films he selects. He tries to pick films that have themes that will resonate with the students. And you see there, Homeless to Harvard, that's the one they're watching now, right now. Okay. And he gave a survey to find out if they liked flipping or traditional. And many of them loved the flipping. And then he asked if they liked to watch it in class or at home. They liked watching it in class, which I thought was interesting. And that's Khaled again. And you see he's trying to evoke going to movies. And FFF stands for Food, Fun, First. And then he talks about the skills that they'll gain. Gives life to learning, and I'll end it there. Okay. There's, if you want to watch the entire thing, it's up on YouTube. You can watch his whole presentation, but I just wanted to give a nod to the fact that this is his model, and he presents it. So these are the stages in order. Pre pre-movie, out-of-class activities. They do listening activities. They work on vocabulary. They generally get ready to watch the film. Then they come into class, they watch the film. Then they go home and do out-of-class activities that are deeper understanding of the film and its themes and reflective questions. And they get ready for class discussion. Then they come back to class and they have questions for each other that they prepared. They help each other, they ask each other the questions, and they do discussion. And then the last piece I mentioned before is out in the community and in-class workshops where they are creative and extend the ideas of the film. So now you have an idea of college Ed. That's only half of what's going on here. Enter the other character in the story. The other character in this story is Iron. Has anyone heard of Iron? Yes, okay. I had never heard about it. What happened was, I was looking to collaborate with Khalid and visit him and come to Morocco and visit his school. And I was looking around on the internet and I found this organization that's going to be sponsoring a conference in Morocco. And I thought, wow, let me get to know this organization. And I looked on the internet to find out who was in the organization in the United States, because there's an Iron USA. And I was looking to see if anyone was interested in film. And lo and behold, I got this crazy idea, and I found, let me just show you one more shot of the global collaboration. It's a very inspirational organization if you want to learn more about it. And I found this wonderful woman, Faye Stum, and she runs an international book club. She's a librarian in Virginia. So I emailed her and I said, hey, we don't have a book club, but we're interested in an international film club. Would you like to do that? And she's like me. She says, sure, why not? So we did it, and we just created it in January. It's brand new. And my original presentation that I submitted for this colloquium was going to be basically the whole thing about Khalid and the project with him. But I altered the presentation because now we have the film club, and I wanted to share that with you. So I've added that piece to the presentation. So this shows you the film club, and you can see it's a project for students at the center in Morocco and the John Handley High School in Winchester, Virginia. Started in January, and we're going to be working all spring. And this is what we're doing: communication and language skills, recommending books related to the films, becoming more aware of diverse cultures, exploring the importance of civic responsibility and leadership skills. And you can see the three of us work together, and there are links to get to the places. So this is the three of us. We meet regularly in Adobe Connect. We record our meetings, we take notes, we have an agenda, and we take this very seriously, the three of us. And we're very different, I have to say. We work respectfully, but the three of us are as different as three people could be. And I find it fascinating to work with two colleagues who have very different perspectives, and we learn so much from each other, and it's been fantastic. Now, our first film was Gran Torino, and I suggested that film. I worked with the Hmong refugees in Wisconsin, and I knew Gran Torino was a fascinating film dealing with Hmong culture. If you're not familiar with Gran Torino, it's a film with Clint Eastwood, and he really evolves as someone who was very, I guess to use the strong word for it, bigoted, but he completely came around, and I don't want to give anything away if you haven't seen it, but you might be interested in that film. And it turned out that Khalid already had that. Remember his collection of films? He hadn't used it yet, but he already had been developing materials for it, so it was very fortuitous. It was new to Faye. And this is just a scene from the film to show you. And I was going to take you to the forum, but the problem with that, and I apologize for that, but the students from Morocco put their last names, and I can't, because this session is being recorded, I won't be able to take you to the forum, but I made when I found out about that, I made some screenshots today. They're kind of small, but what I'm trying to do is show you, I blocked out any real last names. I'm trying to show you that the kids in Morocco and the kids in the United States are talking back and forth to each other. They're replying to each other. It's a real forum with back and forth. What's interesting is they're talking about the Hmong, they're talking about the film, and so the focus is off of them. It's not so much about, they're not so worried about, oh, my culture, my English. They're joining together to discuss a separate topic, and I think that's a wonderful way to expand your language, is to focus on something else. And I have another screenshot here, and you can see up at the top, that's one student, and then here are the replies from the United States. It lists their school. There's the school in Morocco, and I know you're not reading this, but my point is to show you that there's interaction. Well, here it is. If you want to actually, I blew it up a little for you to see. Again, they're talking about Hmong culture and what they're learning about the Hmong. And here's another page, and one of them actually posted something about the Hmong with a URL. And again, you can see that they're from both schools. They're really interacting. There's the student from John Handley and the student from Morocco at the top, right? Now, we also had, again, this was my idea, to have a guest speaker for each film. So we had a guest speaker come, a friend of mine from Minnesota, Andy Shong. So you can see this is an Adobe Connect. And we have the students from Virginia on the left, I guess it's pretty obvious, and then on the right you have the class from Morocco, and in the middle you have Andy Shong. And if you look in the lower right, I took notes, everything that Andy said, I took notes on. We also had a chat running in case there were things people couldn't hear or people had questions. And we recorded the entire session, so that's a recording that we have of the interview. And the students had to prepare questions in advance, and we looked at their questions and we made sure we alternated between Morocco and the United States. They had to come to the microphone and ask their question in English, of course. All right, and then, I want to show you, again, I want to show you a short clip. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is also because of what Andy says. So listen to what he says. I'm just going to show you a short clip of what he says.
United States, in my youth, in Green Bay, and even now, even though I got the opportunity to learn and to have the knowledge and things like that, I didn't really feel like I belong here either, because there are still lots of struggles where I have to compromise my identity, my culture, my language, so that I could bridge the gap between my culture, my people, to a new culture and new communities. And I don't really have a sense that I'm a true Hmong. I only have a sense that I can straddle between the different cultures and be a part of it when I need to make that connection and bridge that gap for my students, or for my elders, or for my family, or for my community. So, being multicultural, being multilingual, I don't really feel belong to one place or another. But I'm comfortable with that, because I feel that eventually we will all be just a part of this world, and instead of, part of Laos or the United States, part of, Hmong or American, things like that. I think that it's bigger than that. I think that we need to be bigger, to see bigger than just that little picture. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. Now, I don't know how well you were able to hear it, but he's talking about being a citizen of the world, not belonging to one particular country. And that's a very interesting theme that came out. He was trying to say that we're all eventually going to be just people on the planet as opposed to from one country or another. And another point that came up that I'd like to mention, I'm just going to go back 1 second, so, is that the students in Morocco found different themes than the students in the United States. And that's why the cross-fertilization was so great. The students in the United States focused on Clint Eastwood's PTSD. He had been in the Korean War, and that was a major theme that they noticed. But the students in Morocco focused on a little bit like what Andy was just talking about, the fact that Hmong are stateless. There's no Hmong land. There's no country Hmong. They have been a minority group everywhere they've been, and that was one of the things that fascinated the students from Morocco. So again, the cross-fertilization is not only about language development, but intercultural communication, sharing different perspectives. It's been a fascinating experience with a lot of takeaways. And then I'm starting to collect data, just getting started with the data. And I got 2 questions I asked the 2 teachers, Faye in Virginia and Khalid in Morocco. I said, what surprised you the most in launching it? And it's so gratifying that Faye was impressed with their English. I thought that was wonderful. And of course, they were very happy to hear that. She didn't expect that they would be as advanced and able to express themselves. She also mentioned their critical and insightful work, working with the themes of the film. And Khalid was interesting. He talked about noticing that his students were slower. They were slower than the kids from the US would be, meeting the deadlines, getting the postings up. But the students from Morocco were sort of taking their time, a little more slow. And part of that, it could be cultural also. And he noticed that. And he also mentioned it could be age, because you can see they were a little bit younger. They're a little younger than the high school kids from the States. The next question I just asked 2 questions. The next was, what do you think your students have gained? And this is preliminary again, but Faye mentioned, actually they both mentioned how many things they have in common. They noticed that the students are finding things that they have in common, and I thought that was wonderful. Because this is what we're looking for, right? Globalization, the impact of sharing ideas across nations, which is what we're hoping to foster as TESOL, And then I have a little bit of student feedback. What they think in the corner, if you look in the upper left, and I'm not taking time now, we gave them an intercultural survey as a pre-survey before they even started, asking about what kinds of interactions they've had with other cultures and how they feel about other cultures, and we're going to give them the same survey at the end of the project. Also, we have a survey for each film. So there's the Gran Torino survey, and those are links. So you can, if you get the other version of this, when you get the PowerPoint, you can find the links to those surveys. But here's the other, there was a question on one of the surveys that asked them just, what do you think of the club? So here are some answers. They really like it, and I just picked a few, but all of the answers were very positive and mentioned the friendships, the fact that they're making friendships and they're really learning to get to know each other, and more cultural diversity in their lives, and mutual acceptance, this one mentions here, interacting, and new friends. And you may notice which side is which. The left is the Virginia students and the right is the Moroccan students, okay? But they're definitely enjoying the project. And the next step, this is the last slide, is Marrakesh. We are going, and Faye is bringing some of her students from Virginia, and Khalid is bringing some of his students from Barkhan. They don't have as far to go, but still quite a ways to Marrakesh. And we're going to be presenting at this conference, which is Innovative Technologies for Quality Global Education in Marrakesh. Some of you might be interested in this conference. And I think it's a very exciting initiative, IRON, if you haven't heard about it before. I mean, it's been wonderful. In fact, 2 of the girls are rooming together, one from Virginia and one from Morocco, because they made friends. And I didn't show you, but there was another forum where they did introductions, and there were hundreds of posts in that first one where all of the students on each side introduced themselves, just like you do in any online discussion. So I didn't show it because it's a regular discussion, but I should mention that. They really got to know each other before they even started with the films. And so a crazy idea just happened. And my big takeaway from this is if you want to do something, just go for it, do it, create it, make it happen. And if anybody else would like to participate, come and see me, because we just have US and Morocco, but this is an EFL setting, so you could be from another country and join us in our International Film Club. Thank you.